The drama surrounding Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson wasn't just another boxing event. It felt like a collision between timelines, a spectacle that blurred the lines between entertainment and warfare, legacy and ambition, past and present. Long before social media stars stepped into the ring, before boxing became a trending topic for the TikTok generation, there was Mike Tyson, a name that stirred fear in the hearts of even the most seasoned fighters, a name whispered with reverence and caution. When Tyson spoke about war, it wasn't metaphorical. His mind was wired for destruction. He wasn't in the ring to compete, he was there to annihilate. Every twitch of his muscles, every glint in his eyes, told you he wasn't just fighting a man, he was fighting the ghosts of his past, the weight of his childhood, the beast inside that refused to be caged. So when Tyson announced, at the age of 60, that he'd be stepping into the ring once again, this time against Jake Paul, the world stood still. Was it madness? Was it a joke? Or was it the final act of a gladiator stepping into the arena one last time? Jake Paul, meanwhile, represented a very different kind of fighter. Raised not on hardship but on views and virality, he emerged as a brash and controversial figure, someone who many believed hadn't earned his place in the sport. He was never expected to go toe-to-toe with legends, and yet, here he was, standing at the edge of one of the most bizarre yet compelling matchups in boxing history, ready to test his name against the most feared heavyweight of all time. The media circus was instant. People couldn't stop talking about it, and how could they? This wasn't just a fight, it was a time machine. On one side, a digital age provocateur with a carefully curated image and a knack for picking battles that guaranteed exposure. On the other, mission figure from the golden age of heavyweight boxing, a man who once ruled the sport with iron fists and terrifying speed. But Tyson's journey to this moment wasn't a straight path. In fact, it was paved with pain, regret, and self-destruction. At the peak of his career, Tyson was unstoppable. A .41 caliber force of nature, he tore through the heavyweight division like a storm, dispatching his opponents with violent elegance, uppercuts that could shatter jaws, footwork that defied gravity, a presence so electric it paralyzed men before a single punch was thrown. In his prime, there was no equal, yet even the brightest stars burn out. Tyson's decline began in his late 20s, his losses piling up, his body deteriorating, and his mind clouded by personal demons. There was a sadness to it, the fall of a giant. The myth unraveling before the eyes of the public. In a chilling, post-fight interview that still echoes in boxing lore, Tyson admitted he simply didn't have it anymore. He wasn't fighting for glory. He was fighting to pay off his debts. He was broken spiritually, emotionally, and, as he famously declared, physically. "I broke my back," he said. Spinal. The words became meme-worthy to some, but, for Tyson, it was the grim acknowledgement of a man who had given everything to a sport that gave him the world, and then took it all back, so he stepped away. The baddest man on the planet walked into the shadows. In boxing, at least the part that felt raw and primal lost something irreplaceable. Meanwhile, a new kind of fighter was born. Jake Paul, the younger brother of Logan Paul, started not in the gym but on the internet. A YouTube creator first, he craved attention and validation, forever trying to escape the larger shadow of his brother's fame. Where Logan took on Floyd Mayweather and made headlines with his athletic ventures, Jake wanted something more. He wanted to be a boxer, not just play the role. But rather than climb the ranks traditionally, Jake found shortcuts. Or so it seemed. He began calling out retired fighters, men whose best years were far behind them. UFC champion Tyron Woodley, a brutal losing streak. Bellator's Ben Askren, wrestling specialist with minimal striking pedigree. And the aging legend Anderson Silva, whose once mortal reign had long faded into memory. With each victory, Jake built his persona as a disruptor. He mocked his opponents, hyped himself up like a street prophet, and backed it all with carefully selected wins. It wasn't boxing in the classic sense, it was spectacle. Theatrics, a form of combat reality television disguised as sport. But it worked, and perhaps the most twisted part, he wasn't bad. Jake Paul could fight not like Tyson, not like a born warrior, but like someone who had obsessed over his craft enough to look the part. He had timing, he had stamina, and most importantly, he had business acumen. He knew how to pick fights that meant something, fights that people would pay to see, no matter how controversial. Still, critics accused him of ducking real competition, and when he faced a genuine boxer in Tommy Fury, the younger brother of world champion Tyson Fury, Jake was handed his first true defeat. The myth cracked, the mystique faded. For a moment, the carefully constructed image of Jake Paul, the world beater, collapsed. But instead of rebuilding his career by facing tougher, younger fighters, Jake did what he always did. He looked for the next big opportunity, the next payday, the next narrative. Enter Mike Tyson. What started as a passing comment, a chance meeting, turned into a full-blown storm. Jake looked Tyson in the eye and said it plainly. "Ever since that day, I've wanted to knock you the F*** out." Bold words, insane, some would say, but also effective. Tyson, now far removed from the chaos of his past, lives a life many wouldn't expect. He owns a thriving cannabis business, hosts a successful podcast, and spends time on his sprawling ranch. He's rich, centered, and by all appearances, at peace. But beneath the Zen master exterior, there still beats the heart of a warrior. And when challenged, the old instincts come roaring back. This wasn't about money anymore. Tyson didn't need a fight. But the idea of going toe-to-toe with a loudmouth influencer who had spent his rise feasting on the bones of retired legends, that stirred something primal. Tyson wasn't about to let his name join the list of smeared icons who gave Jake another highlight reel moment. He had already proven his return wasn't a fluke. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, Tyson shocked the world by lacing up his gloves once more and stepping into the ring with fellow legend Roy Jones Jr. Many assumed it would be little more than a glorified sparring sashina, nostalgic dance between two aging warriors. But Tyson had other plans. From the opening bell, he moved with purpose. His speed was still there, the power in his punches undeniable. Roy Jones, once one of the most elusive fighters in the sport, spent much of the match backing up, retreating from Tyson's relentless pressure. Though the bout was officially called a draw, it was clear to anyone watching Tyson had one. Wasn't done. Jake Paul saw an opportunity in the aftermath of that performance. Maybe he respected Tyson, maybe he didn't. But he knew one thing: the fight would sell. There wasn't a bigger name in boxing. Not in history, not on social media. And if he could beat Mike Tyson, even a 60-year-old version, he would cement his legacy as more than just an internet clown. He'd be a real player in the fight game. Tyson knew it, too. He saw through the gimmick. And yet, he accepted. The promos began. Jake played the heel, taunting, cursing, promising to put Tyson down for good. Tyson.com, as ever, responded with chilling poise. Gone was the detritus ex-fighter from the 2000s. In his place stood a sharpened blade, polished, rested, and ready to slice through the noise. This wouldn't be a walk in the park. Jake wasn't the same kid who awkwardly swung punches in his first fights. But Tyson wasn't some fragile shell, either. He had trained, he had studied. And when he looked at Jake, he didn't see a threat. He saw a lesson that needed to be taught. He wasn't stepping into the ring as Uncle Mike. He was stepping in as Iron Mike, the man who made opponents tremble before the bell rang, who turned violence into poetry, who made grown men question why they ever thought they could stand across from him. The world watched in anticipation. Not because it made sense, not because it was fair, but because it was irresistible. Two eras clashing. Two realities intertwining. The old lion against the new voice. A gladiator versus a showman. Could the lion still roar? Or would Jake Paul do the unthinkable and silence the most dangerous man to ever lace up a pair of gloves? The bell was yet to ring, but the story was already being written. And now, it's your turn. What do you think? Can Jake Paul actually handle the fury of a reawakened Mike Tyson? Or is he playing with fire far hotter than any he's ever faced?